Shall we start by talking about the height of these objects and why that's really key?
Yes, good morning, Leo. Yes, this is the fourth sort of incident in the last week. The first one, which was the Chinese balloon with, as you can just see below it, the payload underneath it. So exactly what it was doing there. This was above 60,000 feet. Why is that important is that that's well clear of any airlines. It's well clear of most military traffic. And therefore, it doesn't pose a risk to anything flying. It's more a question of what was it doing there and how was it doing there? The other instance, though, the one on Saturday, the incident, that was at 40,000 feet, and that's at the top end of where the airlines operate and is hard to the envelope for where military jets operate. And then if you look at the Sunday shoot down around Canada, that was allegedly around 20,000 feet, and that's right in the sweet spot of where all the civilian traffic operate. And if you can just imagine hundreds of people inside an airline, that is, you do not want to be hitting stuff there, and therefore it poses a real flight safety risk. Now, the first one, as I said, because of we don't know the payload exactly here. The other ones are probably just objects, as we know at the moment. But it's worth noting, as Justin Bronx said, there are so many satellites in orbit these days that are looking for track the weather, and it's much easier to track it up there. It's very hard to believe that people would be putting weather tracking capability into a balloon these days.
Indeed, indeed. Let's talk about the technology, Sean, because this is also key, because any technology comes with a big price tag.
It does, and from a military perspective, it's fascinating because actually tracking balloons is quite difficult to do. A conventional radar sends out a ping and needs to bounce off something. So that's why you have stealth aircraft with lots of careful corners, no sharp edges, lots of specific coverings. And they're all designed specifically to avoid radar detection, whereas balloons are really difficult to detect, particularly when they're very high and they're a long way away. So the America almost certainly will have technology to track this sort of stuff. The challenge is they won't always want to tell the world how good their radars are. Right. And of course, as soon as you say you're able to track something that's that big, then your enemy will try to create something that's that big. So there's a lot of tolerance applied. We've heard literally the other day the Americans have dialed up the sensitivity of their radars. You think, yeah, OK. Is that political language that, you know, we can see this stuff, but we now, our patience has run to a limit? In terms of the cost, these aircraft, the F-22s, these are, you know, $200 million aeroplanes. The missile that was used to shoot the last one down, AIM-9X missile, that's about $400,000 of missiles. So, and almost certainly the target wasn't worth anything like that. But this is actually more about the politics. There's a clear statement of intent here. This is about political tensions.
On both
sides. And also, it's worth pointing out, actually operating over enemy territory and spying is nothing new. U2, Gary Powers operating over the Urals was shot down. And that was before the days, really, where we had lots of satellites. But both sides, both China, Russia, America, the Brits, all look using satellite technology and observe over each other's territory. The challenge is these days, it's highly unlikely that you'd need to do that with balloons. So from a military perspective, the bigger worry is actually what you're doing is testing America's defences. How would they operate? How could they shoot down something like this? Because a little balloon is cheap as chips to produce. Therefore, if you put 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000 in, so what the worry from the West will be what the implications of this. But undoubtedly, it's all heightening political tensions at a time when you're never quite sure which party is actually this suits which country to do that.
Indeed, I'm sure we'll be covering this for days, maybe weeks to come. Sean, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.